Coach, I think Nate Clifton played 8 of the final 32 defensive snaps against Minnesota. He was having a solid game. What went into him not playing as much down the stretch?
Just over the course of the game, sometimes, you just rotate guys as you feel. I'm not really paying attention to how the rotation's going. We have a plan going into the game, and then I trust the coaches at that point.
Given your ties to Penn State, what does this game mean to you?
It's exciting. I haven't got a chance to see them play in person since I played there, so it'll be cool. 2 of my old teammates are on the staff, so it'll be cool to see them before and after the game.
What's your thoughts just in general about the run defense against Minnesota?
This has to be more consistent. There's just too many missed tackles, and we just have to be stouter up front.
What do you think changed LSU so much shirt tackling? I think there were 3 offside penalties against Minnesota. What's sort of been different than that first game?
Just have to tackle better. To that back's credit, he played very well. He ran hard, but when we have the opportunities to get him down in space, we still have to get him down in space, and we have to limit some of those runs that break through the line to not be explosive plays.
I think it was a technique thing, a mentality thing. What kind of goes into correcting that?
A combination of everything. I think just because you tackle good in the game, you still have to work on tackling. Just because you tackle bad in the game doesn't mean you're a bad tackling team. You still have to work on tackling. That game, we just did not tackle good, and they played well.
I think John Humphrey started almost every game for you last year at UCLA, and I could be wrong, but I don't think he had a snap on against Minnesota. What does he have to do to carve out a bigger role here?
He's been doing good, and just keep on just being consistent in practice. We have a competitive room, and every week the playing time in that room has been a little different, and it's going to be like that every game.
How do you describe what this Penn State offense does, especially with the multiple packages that they use?
A lot of personnel groups, a lot of formations, a lot of adjustments. You really have to be on your P's and Q's as far as communication. They have the ability to control the ball on the ground, but they have a very explosive offense as far as big plays in the air. So they're a very tough offense to stop.
Seems like they've had a good run game probably since you were
in
college there.
Yeah.
What is it about that scheme? Maybe those running backs.
It's 2 of the better backs I think we're going to play all year. They run hard, they're downhill, but they also have the ability to score at any point in time. They make plays out of the backfield in the passing game. Anytime you have backs that can do as much as their backs do, it's tough on a defense.
With how important Eric has been, just in Eric Gentry has been in the early part of the season with containing the run, with him not being certain on his status. How did you feel that group, Anthony Beavers was able to step in, and what's your confidence level moving forward without him?
Tone did good, and he's going to keep on improving each week, playing in a new position, and then there'll be other guys in that room as well that just need to just continue to develop, and they'll get more time on the field and just keep on getting better as the year goes on.
You still kind of view Anthony as working in Eric's spot right now with whatever's going on with his status?
It'll be a couple different people, but Anthony will be a big part of that.
What does Elijah Hughes need to do to get more snaps?
Just the same thing as everybody else, just be more consistent in practice, and he's been doing great. There's just a lot of guys in that room, and sometimes we can't get everybody snaps depending on how the game goes.
What did you see from Jade in that one with a few more snaps for him?
Jade's doing good. He's stuck out in practice probably the last month. So it's exciting to see him get an opportunity to start doing it on the field. And I think the more he plays, the better and better he's going to get.
As a defensive coordinator, when an opposing team brings in a different quarterback in the red zone, what challenge does that present? Does that make your job tougher? Is that not something you worry too much about? Just how challenging is that?
It does. It's just when they bring him in for a purpose. It's a different offense. There's usually more game plan plays. There's usually more gimmicky things. So we just have to make sure that, we're in the right personnel group, and then obviously our call sheet gets a lot smaller.
They have a 6'6" tight end. What is your evaluation of kind of how you guys have defended the tight ends this year?
Man, he's a very talented tight end. He's probably going to be one of the better ones that we've played. I think we've done some good things on tight ends, but just like everywhere else across the board, there's always room for improvement.
When a team has so many personnel groupings, how do you thread the needle of not over-preparing your players for what they can see, but making sure they're prepared?
Yeah, there's that fine line because, you try to dwindle it down and try to simplify it as much as you can. Like, it looks like all this, but it's really just that. And the more you can do that, just allows them to go out there and play fast.
Given the personal connection just to Penn State for you, is there any additional just kind of weight to this matchup for you, or is it just kind of another game?
Just another game. All these games in the Big Ten are big. The weeks go by so fast. It's just like any other week.
How does your job change when Jade is getting more snaps, Sam Green is getting more snaps, guys a little bit further down the depth chart has to do a little bit more?
I always want to make sure that I'm putting guys on the field in the best position. So, you just have to make sure you know who's out there and make sure that you're calling stuff that they can execute.
What does Drew Aller do, if anything, that makes him maybe a little different than other quarterbacks that you face this year?
He has one of the strongest arms. He definitely has the strongest arm of anyone we've played so far. He throws the ball really well, especially down the middle of the field. And for a bigger guy, he does a really good job extending plays in the pocket. He's not a guy that's just going to sit in the pocket. We have to do a great job containing him, and we have to do a great job staying in coverage downfield.
There were times last year where it just felt like he couldn't get any kind of footing in big games. From what you've seen on film, what does this offense do that allows him to make plays and maybe feel more comfortable?
They do a good job of keeping defenses on their heels, just with the personnel groups, with the formations, with the shifts. They do a good job of making you communicate and think as much as possible, and then the ball snapped.
Would you make it?
You talked about kind of your view on sacks versus pressures last week. Overall, is it still a goal to generate more kind of pressure with this
every week?
rush?
If it was, every time it's a pass, we want pressure on the quarterback if possible.
What is
One more?
Go ahead, Connor.
That's okay.
What's kind of the formula to figuring out more kind of momentum there and stability on the pass rush?
It's just the guys just developing into pass rushers. I think they've gotten better. And then on our end, from a schematic standpoint, how can we put them in the best positions to succeed?